A great man once said, if you're not first, you're last. And in Stellantis' particular case, they are last, second to last, fourth to last, fifth, sixth, eighth, and 10th to last of the worst selling vehicles in America. How can a company have record profits when they have a record number of non-selling vehicles? But what if I told you that Stellantis' Therefore EV plan has taken them from the top of the pack to bottom of the barrel within 3 years? Before we get into today's deep dive on overpriced Stellantis vehicles, let's have a quick shout out to today's sponsor, Just Bolt-Ons and DragRacingWheels.com. As someone who was always hunting for the best aftermarket parts for my Ram TRX, they have been my go-to recommendation for anyone in need of quality parts, and now I am thrilled to be their chief brand ambassador. While some exclusions apply, this code can help you gear up for your next track day, car meet, or off-road adventure. Check out my buddies at Just Bolt-On and DragRacingWheels.com. They got your back for your aftermarket needs. So my 31,164 friends and the 85% not yet subscribed, let's talk about something that's been a growing concern for some years now. I've been highlighting Stellantis' EV strategy of gradually hiking prices on the most popular models to pay for those EVs. Now remember that I have sounded alarms over the years about the mid-year price increases. Now take the TRX for instance. 4 years ago, its base price was $69,995. Fast forward to today, and you're looking at a staggering $96,340 base price. That is an annual average price jump of $6,586. with 0 suspension upgrades, 0 engine upgrades, and 0 interior upgrades. Now that's not including the new digital instrument cluster and the latest iteration of Glitch Connect, Android-based Uconnect 5. Now why does this matter? It's not just about the numbers. This trend reflects a broader issue in the automotive industry. The gradual push upwards of ICE prices to pay for the EV future, which is testing what consumers are willing to pay right now. But let's turn our attention to the Dodge Hornet, a curious blend of the Alfa Romeo Tonale and a Dodge Charger love child. But the question is, why isn't the Hornet flying off the lots like the Journey did? Now let's compare them. The Journey, while not Dodge's most glamorous model, was a decent seller. Why? Because of size and affordability. It's about 10 inches longer and wider than the Hornet. It offered more leg room and elbow space. Plus it was 3 inches taller, which means more headroom. Starting at the low $20K range, the Journey provided a very budget-friendly option for families. Now the Hornet, it starts in the mid $30K range with an average transaction price of around $41K. That means monthly payments exceeds $500 in the Hornet. Whereas the Journey, most likely owners who had that particular vehicle were making payments under $500. For families just looking to get from point A to B to C and D, the price difference is significant, especially in a vehicle that is almost a foot smaller in width and legroom. To me, the Hornet is just $10K more expensive than what it should be to make it attractive in this market. But let's explore a noticeable pricing trend across various Stellantis vehicles concerning their transaction prices. Starting with the Charger, we're seeing an average transaction price near $45,000, which feels kind of steep for a 16-year-old vehicle. The Challenger is even higher at around $52,000 average price. Considering that a large portion of Dodge sales includes XXT, GT, and RT, one would generally expect for these prices to be about maybe $5,000 to $10,000 lower. This may explain why initiatives like Power Dollars are re-emerging to help move these higher priced vehicles that were supposed to be a lower price. The Chrysler 300 is another example of this. Its price feels very excessive for a vehicle that's been around for 16 years. And even the Last Call edition didn't seem to boost its appeal. Looking at the trucks, The Ram 3500's average transaction price is almost $80,000, significantly over its $50,000 base price. The Ram 2500, that one follows suit as well, with an average transaction price of $70,000 and a base price of $47,000. These are very steep price tags for these Ram HD trucks, especially considering that you can get an alternative like the Ford F-250 Lariat, which can be had for around $62,000 before you start adding any extras, which is almost $10,000 cheaper than a Power Wagon or a 2500 Rebel. I would love to get a Power Wagon, but it is way too expensive for a V8 HD truck that cannot tow that much weight. And finally, at bottom of the barrel is the Maserati Levante, averaging about $100,000 transaction price for a vehicle that doesn't have that many dealerships around the country to get serviced. But what do these prices tell us about the current automotive market? Are these price increases justified because of the new tech features and allegedly quality offered? Or is it just a case that a brand thinks they are more prestigious than what they are, and that's inflating the cost? Because last time I checked, Dodge was a blue-collar brand. Jeep was a blue-collar brand. The market is not telling me, hey, let's fill it up with more expensive vehicles that majority of the market, especially blue-collar people, cannot afford. But other vehicles have popped up on the worst selling list. Now, if we go back to October, we see that the Grand Wagoneer, the Pacifica Hybrid, which I'm like, come on, man, almost $60,000 for a minivan, like that's ridiculous. The Ram 1500 was on this list as well as worst selling vehicles in America with a $60,000 average transaction price. Now, off the top of my head, I know that for every $30,000 financed, that's about a $500 payment. The average person is paying almost $1,000 a month for a Ram pickup truck. I mean, that is crazy. And now these smaller trucks are now in the market because these manufacturers had jacked up prices so bad that now these smaller vehicles can come back and fill in a void because the prices are just crazy. If you are around my age, $60,000 was the max back in the early 2000s, and about 30 to 40K was the average transaction price for a full-size pickup truck back then. In my eyes, pricing and morale has caused a lot of these headaches for Stellantis. And as a brand, we are starting to see that trickle down into sales. Over the last couple of years, we kept hearing over and over again how best-selling and how great the Jeep Wrangler was and the Grand Cherokee is, but employees seem to be getting laid off and they're starting to drop shifts on this great best-selling vehicle in America, which doesn't make sense. You don't drop shifts if it's the best-selling vehicle. Now, Tim Knissis, I'm gonna pick on my new frenemy for a few seconds here because I seem to remember that during Speed Week 2022 that he said this.
Some of you were pissed. Some of you think we sold out. Well, I guess it depends on your definition of sold out, because since 8 a.m. this morning, we received 14,000 orders. You truly represent a brotherhood that is embracing this expansion. And we are a brotherhood. This expansion should be embraced. Dodge is the tattoo of the industry, and it's still not for anybody, and we like it.
And then I see these numbers for the Dodge Hornet for 2023, and you guys have come up with your own conclusions, but to me, the Hornet is selling, just going off numbers, 4 times worse than the Dodge Journey. And now here we go with the Dodge Hornet. It has almost a 1.5 year supply of Hornets that no one is buying. Now, I will admit that I did sit in a Hornet RT and I actually thought it was a very nice vehicle on the inside. And, I'll be man enough to admit that. I mean, I wish I had some media credentials to where I could, drive one for an extended period of time and do an actual review of it to see what is actually as bad as the sales numbers say. Hint, hint. Just saying. But what do you guys think? Why does Stellantis have 7 of the worst selling vehicles in America and 0 top selling vehicles in America over the last several months? Is Stellantis dealers pissing people off, driving away to other brands? Will power dollars be enough to bring customers back? Make sure you guys like this video and subscribe to the channel because about 85% of you guys have not done so yet. So help me get to my first 100K subs And until the next time, I'm out.
And you probably, if you're watching close, spotted it in the opening video. This is the Hornet GLH from Direct Connection and my new best little friend. This thing is a blast. Straight from Direct Connection with an increased performance stage kit, lowering kit, and dual exhaust. And of course, for those of you in the know, the GLH badging. This badge last appeared on a production car in 1990.